class, in this video, I'm going to go over your first assignment called Constructivist Classroom Scenario Essay. So for this assignment, you're going to demonstrate that you understand what a constructivist classroom looks like by taking a classroom scenario and flipping it into be a more constructivist lesson. So the main idea around constructivist classrooms is that students are involved in hands-on activities and problem solving, typically starting with a question. Students use inquiry methods to either ask questions themselves, they investigate these topics, they use a variety of resources to find solutions and answers. The teacher's role in a constructivist classroom is to support students by facilitating questions, helping them find resources, and really helping them focus in on finding the answers. The teacher is not presenting information in the constructivist classroom as you would in a traditional classroom. It's up to the students to go find the information. Often they're the ones presenting the solutions and the ideas rather than the teacher. Now in this scenario, they have students completing a diagram of a solar system where they're simply cutting out the planets, pasting them onto a large piece of paper, writing the correct name and a fact about each planet. This scenario is not constructivist-like. It's more of a traditional activity around the solar system. So it's up to you to provide a different activity involving the same learning target. So the learning target is for the students to understand that the solar system consists of the sun and 9 planets that orbit around it. And so you'll have students in some way investigating this idea about the sun and the 9 planets orbiting around it. So in your essay, you're going to be describing how to revise this activity to be more constructivist-like. How can you pull in problem solving? How can you have students investigating and researching? And so I created for you a template that you can use to help organize your work. Here is the template. So as you see, any red text on the template, I want you to delete. These are more of guidance for you as you're writing your assignment up. I've included the classroom scenario at the top for you to refer to. And then I've also included the directions. One thing that's really important for you as you're doing any assignment is to look at the rubric accompanying the assignment. So over here under the information and path on this assignment this week, you can see the rubric is here. What I've done is I've taken these elements that I'll be grading you on and incorporated them into the rubric so that you know exactly what I'm going to be grading you on. So here you'll see in the template I've created, I've included all of these areas. So first, you're going to want to make sure that you describe the constructivist characteristics. So clearly describe the characteristics that would be incorporated into your classroom scenario and include several supporting details and examples for an effective revision of this classroom scenario. So you're going to explain what you're going to change about this classroom scenario and why you're changing it. Support it with information that you get either from the course readings or other information that will support why you're making these changes and how they are more constructivist-like. Next, you're going to move into an area on inquiry-based learning. So will you want to make sure that you thoroughly describe those techniques that are going to promote students to be critically thinking, learning through inquiry, and problem solving. Include several distinctive details about these, the critical thinking and inquiry and problem solving. It's really important I see those words in here. Make connections to when students are doing this, it is promoting critical thinking by, etc. So the next one area you're going to need to make sure you cover in your essay is adjustments for differentiation. So you want to give a substantial amount of detail on how you can adjust for differentiation in this scenario. So include several supporting details and how you'll support different learners. Think about our learners who struggle and what supports they might need in a more self-guided, inquiry-based experience. What are those struggling learners going to need to be able to be successful? Then think about your gifted learners. What are the gifted learners going to need to be pushed a little bit and have a little bit more of a challenge? Think about possibly any learners that might have language barriers and how can we support any language barriers. The next area on the essay is assessment. You're going to want to include a comprehensive description of the assessment to assure that this learning target is met. So we want to make sure that students can describe, understand that the solar system and the sun has 9 planets and that orbit around the sun. And so make sure your assessment is tied directly to that learning target and how you will assess students. It could be formative assessment, summative assessment, however you choose, but how are you going to know that that learning target is met? Finally, the last area is that you provide an ample amount of information about the constructivist approach and why it's useful for teaching science and health in general. So that last paragraph is just going to talk about constructivism in general and why we like to use constructivist approaches for teaching science and health topics. I even like using constructivist approach for teaching math as well. So you'll include several supporting details and examples for why we use constructivism in the science and health classroom. Support your information with scholarly resources, use in-text citations, and make sure to put all of your references here below. As always, you want to make sure you're well organized in your writing. If you'd like, you can use each of these sections as a different paragraph, making it a 5-paragraph essay. You'll want to make sure that you use your spell check and your grammar check. And if sometimes you struggle with your APA, I suggest using the reference tab here in Word to help with writing APA style correctly and using in-text citations. This is how I always do my citations because it takes a lot of work to do it properly, and Word does the work for me. If you have any questions as you're working on this assignment, please don't hesitate to reach out.